Invocation to the Lord. Dear Lord, allow my spirit to rise to your heights, to drink from the true fountains of wisdom, and absorb your powerful vibrations of love and faith, of purification and spiritual and material strength, of spiritual power, peace, understanding, health, prosperity, and harmony to pour over my brothers and sisters. Lesson 16. Good and Evil. What evil is. Concepts about good and evil. Its evolution. God being the creator of everything and the only source of life, it is logical that evil cannot exist, because God has not created it. Evil does not exist. It is fictitious because it has created itself by opposite polarization of the positive natural vibration which we call good. Evil is the opposite of good by transmutation of the natural vibration. That is to say that evil is positive vibration transmuted into negative vibration. In this transmutation, the power that has already achieved the vibration does not disappear, but it is transformed into power of evil. It is fundamental that we constantly examine ourselves in order to know how we should act. We do good. We are in the path of good when our deeds, thoughts, and desires are positive. In other words, when they benefit, help, or protect others unselfishly. Every day, we usually find ourselves in circumstances in which it is essential to analyze our reactions, desires, and feelings. It is not possible to establish a specific standard regarding good or evil, because good and evil are within each of us. We can all do good, and we can all do bad, according to our inner desire and in accordance with our own consciousness. Therefore, our judgment on the actions of others is almost always adventurous and cannot be exact. Each of us should try to improve, always choosing what is best for others rather than for oneself. Spiritual knowledge gives to those who have acquired it a greater responsibility over their deeds, thoughts, and desires. The concept of good and evil varies in each person, according to the ability of each person to discern. Therefore, each person should be recognized based on their capacity to discern what is good and what is bad. The concept of good is more demanding for the most advanced human groups. In future generations, which will be constituted by incarnate beings of greater evolution than the current, the concept of good will be more rigorous. Each one of you must try to improve, and thus will be able to achieve a broader and greater capacity in the concept and discernment of what is good and what is evil. It is not possible to establish an exact standard common to all human groups, because the concept of good and evil varies according to the ability of each being to understand it. If we get used to not judging each other, if we get used to helping each other with our mind and with our reciprocal positive feelings, we will achieve a much happier coexistence. We must live within certain rules, which humankind has established. But spiritually, we must be more open towards the judgment that our brothers and sisters deserve. Let us analyze the deeds of others according to the capacity of discernment of the one who has performed the deed. Let us not expect that a being who has limited mindset or lack of true knowledge will act in the same way as someone who has knowledge and higher mindset. Let us get used to judging others with kindness and an understanding criteria. Understanding is the basis for achieving our fraternal unity. Judging our brothers and sisters in understanding will lead us to recognize the causes that motivated their actions, and we will also understand the needs, human and spiritual, of every one of them. The path of good is a happy path for the spirit, but for humankind it is often a difficult path full of obstacles that must be overcome. It is much easier to give in to our selfishness, passions, or desires of greatness, to our ambitions and grudges, than to resist them. It is through resisting them all that we can overcome the path and reach the point where these temptations cannot leave a scar in our soul. This is the evolution our spirit will reach through the constant practice of good and turning away from evil. In a somewhat near future, this planet, which will have been purified, is going to be inhabited by civilizations of greater spiritual evolution than the current one. They will be conformed by more evolved incarnate beings, and then the concept of good and evil will have changed for humankind. The spiritual vibrations, those vibrations corresponding to feelings and thoughts, left by millions and millions of human beings that have lived on Earth, were gathered, and continue to do so, by the law of affinity. The beings who must incarnate in worlds like yours are beings of limited evolution who can easily deviate towards the negative path. For this reason, century after century, millennium after millennium, people whose minds and souls attract and radiate vibrations attract towards Earth with great intensity negative forces which, connected by the law of affinity, formed sources of negative radiation, whose action today projects over all of humankind. Hence, the need for incarnation in your world of purest beings that brought to Earth their vibrations and left behind their forces to counteract the influence of those focal points of negative forces. Time and time again, higher beings came to your world to help you. Beings that were preceded, accompanied, and followed by a great number of other elevated beings, so that such joint force could unite and form focal points of positive radiation that would counteract the influence of the negative ones. This has constituted the battle between good and evil on your planet, a battle that is not such, because positive forces do not fight, nor will they ever fight negative forces, but they are rather counteracted by the positive forces and thus are unable to obtain the destruction they pursue. In the same manner as positive vibrations, negative vibrations always respond to the sources from which they were projected. It cannot be said that in your world there are negative beings. Instead, negative forces exist that respond to negative beings that dwell in other planes. Also, positive forces respond to positive beings that dwell in other planes too. The laws emanating from God rule for the entire universe the natural vibration that we call positive. Everything that vibrates positively vibrates in accordance with the law. By virtue of willpower and free will that God bestows upon His children, beings own and are responsible for their thoughts, aspirations, and reactions. Beings can maintain their thoughts, aspirations, and reactions, meaning their vibration, in accordance to the law or against the law. This means they can vibrate positively or negatively. If the spiritual vibration transmuted from positive to negative belongs to a being who has already developed power, from that moment, their mind will possess negative power, power which will act in the opposite direction of good, against the law. We will call those minds diabolic, due to their power, achieved before the transmutation. They can have intense action in worlds such as yours, inhabited by incarnate beings of limited evolution. In humankind, the diabolic ideas are influences of diabolic minds. These do not connect directly or by their own accord with human minds, because the divine law does not allow it. They come in response to a human request, through negative thoughts and feelings from humankind, which call directly to those minds. They then respond immediately to reinforce evil in minds and souls. If there were no negative vibrations within you, evil could never come near you. At all times, you must be careful not to attract negative forces, seeking instead to attract positive forces with your thoughts, feelings, and wishes for good. Good exists. It is within you, but frequently your will puts at the service of evil the power of good that emanates in you. This is the enormous importance of your will. Through it, you prepare and shape your present and future lives. Constantly try to purify your present life, your mind, and your soul, always staying in positive vibration, because otherwise you will need to be purified through pain in various incarnations.